So first, I just want to explain what this class is, what our goal is. So our virtual teaching kitchen, as we call it the VTK, this is to provide you all with just fun and interesting for cooking healthy meals. And we hope that you all feel comfortable maybe after your first class cooking along with us, because cooking in a group setting is such a fun activity. And on that subject, we also offer this class for like team building activities for your department. If your whole department has been working from home this whole time and you want to do something fun after work together, this is a great opportunity for you. Or if you're a student and you want to get together some of your friends, your fellow students or anybody, we can do this class with just people you know to make it a little more fun. So if you are interested in that, reach out to me in the chat or email me directly. I'm the one who sent you the invite, so you have my email address. So we do these classes once every month. It's always the fourth Wednesday of the month. And we usually stick to like a quarterly theme. The theme this quarter is sustainability. So that's why this class is on the Planetary Health Diet, and I'll get into that more, of course. But if you have any ideas for future classes or things you'd like to learn about, please let me know. We are always open to new ideas. So to explain today's topic, May, as probably most of you know, May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So we are doing a ramen dish today. And this ramen dish is also, is a good example of the Planetary Health Diet. And the Planetary Health Diet is something that it's a diet pattern that has been created to provide guidelines for the best way for us to eat for our health and the health of the planet. So we've got, that encompasses a huge group of food systems and types of foods and things that this diet provides helpful guidelines, and it makes it so easy to understand. So I think you can see, I've put already in the chat a couple links if you want a video or you want to learn more. So go ahead and look into that during the class or afterward, whichever. And we have provided you all the recipes. So if you'd like to cook along now, that's great. If not, you have the recipe for later. And what matters most though about, yes, we do provide recipes, but we don't want them to be so strict that you feel like you're doing it wrong if you don't do the right measurements or anything. And everybody has different preferences or different ingredients available to them. So use these recipes as a guideline. We don't want you to feel like you're stuck in this exact, blueprint of what your food needs to be. So that said, the broth that we're making tonight is a low sodium broth. So if you prefer more sodium, you can add more soy sauce or you can add more salt in the end. But just as always with salt, be aware that if you add too much, you can't take it back. So just add a little bit at a time. All right, so our learning objectives for tonight, we're going to go over, of course, the Planetary Health Diet that I've already mentioned. And I'm also going to talk about what makes a well-balanced eating pattern. And Chef Rahul is going to go over the different ingredients and processes of making a traditional ramen. And also he's going to talk about using braising as a cooking method, which is what we're doing tonight with the chicken. So that said, I'm going to pass it over to Chef Rahul to talk about some food safety tips and the plan of work, which is the sort of the layout for how the class will go tonight.
Hello, everyone. So here we begin. So today, as we said, we're going to make a simple chicken ramen that you can make at home from scratch. That is very important. And a couple of things for the safety first, last and always, is that we are dealing with one of the raw ingredients, and that is the chicken. And we have to be very careful that we prevent it from cross-contamination of contaminating other food product in the same dish or anything else around you. Because the contamination, this food contamination from the chicken can have a very severe health effect and gastrointestinal disease, starting with that. Then after that, the other raw ingredient is egg, but we are not breaking the egg. So it is going to stay in the shell, and then we're going to do a process of how we cook it to the correct way it is done for the ramen. So the line of progress of this and the plan of work on this recipe will be, we'll start with the item that is going to take the longest time to cook. And we will start with that. And that is going to be obviously the chicken. So we have to process the chicken, and we'll get the chicken in the oven, as we have specified that your oven should be turned on and you should have we already going 2 parts of water, which should not be super boiling, but it should be simmering right now, so that we can proceed at a good pace throughout the recipe. And we will also, once the chicken is done, so this is the plan of work. We have the chicken cooking. So while we have the chicken already ready to go and it is inside the oven is cooking it while we come back, and then we're going to do our prepping of the vegetables, and then we're going to do our we work with the egg, and we're going to do the noodles, such that in such a way that when the noodles are done and we strain them and the eggs have cooled down, which we'll talk a little bit later, and then as we step by step as we go through it, and then everything is ready at the same time to go, and it will make a delicious dish. Okay, so we'll start with the chicken first. We get the chicken going, and then after that we will talk a little bit about the history of ramen, a little brush up on that, and how many different kind of ramens are there, and why ramen have different noodles and all the kind of things, right? So first, of course, safety. Nothing like we always gonna deal with sharp objects. So I recommend using a cut glove, but that's how it's everybody to believe they'll be safe. Then always some oven mitts or towels too, because we'll be doing hot cooking. Because then hot items are very, very important that we have the right equipment to handle them. Otherwise, we can get hurt. And these are progressive recipes. As we go, it will get ready. So we start with the item that is going to take the longest amount of time first. So it is cooking, and then we start with the other one that going to take shortest amount of time. So we have the best of the best product at the end. Okay. And whoever is cooking along with us, please let us know how we are progressing, so I can pace myself so that we are finishing it together. Okay, we are not running a race here. All right, we're gonna make a real nice meal tonight. Okay, so we start with first. So the braising of the chicken. So we want to use the process of braising, because chicken could be cooked in many different ways, grilled, boiled, as you know. But we're gonna braise it. So braising is done submerged in a liquid where the meat is like not big joints, small joints with a lot of flavoring liquid. And then what makes it to happen to braise is like it is in a closed pan, and we seal it so there is no leakage of steam from there, and it is like cooking in it, making its own steam inside, and it's cooking inside its own juice. Why this is important? Because it cooks it real well, and this is the juice that we're going to use to be the broth. So we are not starting with a concentrate that we get into a bottle or something like that. It's nothing like that. That's why we want to do it from scratch. Okay. So for braising the chicken, as you would see the recipe that we have already, that we're using very simple product, that is your tap water and ginger, garlic, soy sauce, that is also called shoyu ramen. That's why it is called shoyu ramen. And that's the Japanese name for the soy sauce. And then the sesame oil. And then whoever is gluten intolerant may use a different kind of soy sauce. That could be a tamari soy or gluten-free soy, or even low sodium soy. Okay, so that's what we are. So we are focusing on a healthy cooking. So we are, as much as we love full flavors, but here today we're using the low sodium soy sauce to go with it. Okay, and then everybody has an individual choice how they can do it. But these are the best basic guidelines to start it. So first, what we're going to do is that we're going to clean the scallion, and we'll see how do we process that. Simple thing I wanted to do. So I've taken not the best bunch of scallion, because if you have scallion getting old at home, and how we're going to process them. So we take the scallion, you see the dead leaf. So we just pull the dead leaf out from all of them as we go, and then the dead leaves go out. So we have this scallion here, and then break this one, take a dead leaf out here. And then what we do before we start cutting it, we take the towel and we're going to just go and wipe it. So there is any mud, because I've washed them already, but there is any mud or anything stuck to that, we can clean that up here. So once they are all clean, we're going to chop them up. So now we're going to do two ways, because one, we are using scallion at two places. First is in the braising and also in the garnishing later on. Okay. So that will be a very useful thing to see how we do that. So now this is our scallion ready here. We're going to take a small knife or a large knife, whatever you have at home, and you get the roots off first. So roots are out. And then usually we would just cut it up like this. And then here we're going to go take our knife. And then, so the bottom part is more like onion at the bottom. And this is the great one for flavoring the meat. and this is what I prefer here. However, they are interchangeable between each other. Okay, so any part is the whole scallion is a whole scallion, however you want to do it. Then after that, we put it like this and we cut it on the bias. So it's an angle. So if you see, I'm cutting it in an angle. So if I go a little bit close to the camera, you can see it better. And I'm just trying to make slivers out of it. Okay. So this is one of the tricks to cut it. And then if you may see that this look a little different, and this one we're going to use to garnish our ramen. Okay. So I'm going to return this back to my cutting board. On the side, then we have ginger and then we have garlic, which we have already ready to go. We take our ginger. Garlic.
So the white part of the scallion is more like tough, so you can cook that, but the green part is better for a garnish.
Yeah, it looks more colorful, you know, it adds more color. And the green part, once you are eating it, is basically raw, so you don't get a bad breath out of it or something like that. You know, whereas like the bottoms have little bit of oniony because they are older, the leaves grow up, so the leaves are younger part of the plant, and then the older part is at the bottom. So now we take an oven-proof pan, and so what I have here is like I have a regular steel pan, and you may use any Dutch oven or any dish or metal dish or ceramic dish or anything that you may have, right? And then here I have my chicken. So this is a measured amount of chicken, and the chicken is like small thin pieces, and I'm going to show you once. These are small thin cut pieces. We put the chicken inside, right? Then we have our measured amount of water that goes in. So submerge it. The key is to submerge it, and because it should at no point while cooking, it should come out of water. It should braise inside it, and the steam should be concealed inside. Then we have our soy sauce, measured amount of soy sauce, then goes in here. Then we have our sesame oil, then black pepper, and this is the only time we're using any pepper is during the braising. Then after that we have our ginger and scallion. Oh, sorry, ginger and garlic. So we got our ginger here, and this is going to be a real nice broth. You will see how this water that we started as a base transforms into something so good. And then the last, of course, what we chop is the scallions. Okay, so our scallion goes in here. So it's already smelling good because of the soy sauce and ginger and other stuff. So now we have not added any salt into this because we have the soy sauce which has a considerable amount of salt in it by itself. So that acts as a seasoning agent to it. And now, since all of this is mixed together, and then all the parts of the chicken have been one way exposed to it, it is not clumped together, it is all mixed. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cover it up with, I usually use a paper, a parchment paper or a foil or however you want it, but all we're trying to do is make it as much as possible, make it not to lose any steam out of it. Okay? And here we go. We cover this up.
If you're doing this at home with a Dutch oven or something that has a cover, then that should be fine. Or
that should be just fine.
Yeah.
That should be just do the job, because generally the Dutch ovens are made for that, so that you can braise the stuff in that either on a stove top or in an oven. But stove top would be a different story because you have to control the heat very low, like in slow cooker. And now this is going in, and now this usually will take about 25 minutes at 350-degree temperature. But again, what we will have to do, we have to temp it. And after temping it, we have to see that it is safe to eat, which is very important. And also the other way is that, like, if it is not fully cooked, you will not be able to shred it. Okay, that's one of the other things to see. So now here we go, and I'm going to take this and put in the oven, and we come back, and then we will start processing the other stuff. Okay.
Okay. So chicken's going in the oven at 350 degrees. And again, if you don't have 2 pots of water boiling, then get those going. It's good to have them ready to go for when we do the hard-boiled egg, or soft-boiled egg rather, and the noodles.
So now, as we see, we make sure that I was wearing gloves, so like my hands are clean, but still I'm not taking a chance. I'm going to change my cutting board, and I put a new one, and then after that we start with the new cutting board right now.
Yeah, with raw chicken, you can never be too safe. You always want to wash your hands very carefully. As we all know, from if we didn't know before COVID, then we now know the washing your hands for 20 seconds thing with water as hot as you can stand it, good friction. You really want to make sure your hands are nice and clean after touching raw meat.
Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to process our vegetables. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the ramen. So if you want to know a little bit, the ramen actually originated out of China, the Orient, like in about 1600 centuries and later, when noodles were like the top-notch thing, and the noodles that are used in making a ramen. So you can make a ramen, you can call it anything, but the original ramen, it goes with usually with a noodle that has been made with a alkaline mixture of sodium carbonate and potassium carbonate, and that makes it like that's the for the noodle to be useful for ramen, it has to have alkaline base because it affects the texture of the noodle very much, and that's the base of it. Now, the ramen could be made with many different kind of base. So some places it is only made with just the miso. Some the tongasku is made with the pork bones. Then very few with the seafood broth, but a lot with chicken and vegetable broth. And it has definitely got to have noodle, a broth, some kind of protein that could be tofu or could be egg or anything else, and a lot of vegetables. And that's where the balanced diet, balanced food comes into place. As much as protein also comes from the noodles itself, but the broth is the main key to this, and it is served extremely super hot. So we have chosen like to make it so, of course, that we could do a lot many vegetables in there. We can do bok choy, we can do choy sam, we can do Chinese broccoli, we can do spinach, we can do any soft vegetables in there. Non-starchy vegetable can go in there, and it is very hearty, as you know, ramen. So what we have chosen here for this recipe is that we're gonna do it with kale, carrots, and scallions, and seaweed nori, and that's how it's going to be very simple. Because this is like just a drawing board where we're starting it. From there, we can add how many stuff we want in there and make it more and more better, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to process the kale. And now kale, you see, is everybody sees kale in the store, and different with the darker the leaves, the better they are. And once we see the kale, so like this is already washed and squeezed. So kale has got a vein into it here, right here. So you just pull it around the vein here, like this. And then the stem goes for compost. And this what happens is like we're going to use it raw. So we have to cut it into julienne such that it is either you are having your ramen with your chopstick or with a fork and a spoon, or however you are consuming it. It's easier to eat it. Okay, so that's the key. And then the stems all are composted, and they could have a different use later on. And so this is our kale that has been cut up, right? Now we're gonna julienne it, and now again I use cut glove. I'm used to it, and I'm gonna do it again. And I'll just put a second glove on top, and then there we go. Now what we do is like we roll this, okay? So now you see how it is a pile right now. So we're gonna roll it towards you or away from you or however you want it, so that it is dense and it is like combined in a log, and it's easy to cut. And then we go with our knife and we just go julienne, okay? Such that it is coming into small shreds and almost getting same shape as close to a noodle, okay? Now, you remember we had rolled it, so it's got long strands. So we go and give it a cross cut here, and this is about it. So this is our kale processed, and we're gonna leave it right here. Now, next item you said we're gonna work on is the carrots. So we're gonna make something like this, right? So this kind of carrot is easily available in the supermarket, or if you have carrots lying around at home, which is very much possible. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna peel it first. So we take a peeler. Peel it. After peeling it, this is the compost that goes on the side. And then we're going to do the same process. We're going to take our knife, and then first you see it rolls like this. This is very dangerous. We take the end off. We take this end off. Very little compost over there, and then we're going to make, like it's like rolling right now. We're going to make a flat cut at the bottom, and which will be utilized as well. And now this is not rolling any further. You see, there's another trick, and then we're going to cut it on the bias. And after we cut on the bias, we're going to shingle it. Okay. So automatically as it is cutting, it is shingling here. Right. So like I'm going to go till here, and then I'm going to show you how do we do that. So now you see how this looks like. We're going to shingle it like this. Give it a pressure, but it's not so much that it jumps out. And then we're going to go here and julienne it slowly. Now I'm going to show, because I do this very often, so it looks so easy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the other way as well. So this is how we do it, right? Here we keep it here, and then now I am going to show you how you would do otherwise. So you would just take a bias cut, and then you will try to make matchsticks out of it. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we keep going. Okay. So we try to keep this matchstick pretty thin for the reason we are not cooking this. So it is only going to get blanched inside the liquid. So the heat from the liquid is just going to wilt it a little bit such that it takes the crunch out of it. Like not to all the way, but it's still al dente like that. Okay. So this is our carrot processed. Now we're going to go to scallion. We did carrot, we did kale. Now we're going to talk about the seaweed nori. So there are many different kinds of seaweed that are used as a garnish on top of the ramen. And for that, I have tried to use the most common one that you can find in the superstore. So it's just a roasted seaweed nori. And then what we do is like we fold it up first, half, and this is the same nori seaweed that is used on the sushi. So it's very common to find. And we fold it again here. Okay. Once you fold it, we take our shears or scissors or whatever, and then we will here go and cut it.
What if we don't have kitchen shears? Can you cut this with?
You can cut it with a knife too, but you have to be super careful.
It's kind of tricky, right?
Yeah, it's just tricky because it's a little hard to cut. You know, say imagine you cutting like a sheet of say plastic or something. So only that much care, you know, it will just take. And here we go.
Yeah, if you have kitchen shears, that's great. If you have regular scissors, you can just wash them off before you use them. But and then that's what we're using, just regular scissors.
Once we get this nori like free like this, then we're gonna go here and we're gonna just start at one end and don't need to be fast or anything. And then we just go here, cut them again like a matchstick style, disconnecting it completely. Okay, so this is how it is processed, and I think this is enough to serve a couple of servings. Okay, so I'm going to hold it on the side here, and this is our seaweed process. Right now, as the chicken is cooking, we will progress towards getting our prep is almost ready. So we have to do two things. That we have to cook the egg. Now, when we start doing the egg, so what is it like? We have already. I believe that whoever is cooking with me right now has got a pot with water going on, actually 2 pots going on, you know, because one we need for the noodle and one we need for the eggs. So we're going to process the egg first, right? So the 6-minute egg is we start is like we have the water boiling and the water has to be super boiling. So I have water simmering. When I bring it on the stove, I'll make it boil. And then I will slowly with a tongue or any slotted spoon or something, I will submerge my eggs. I will not drop them in the water because once they go in the water, if they hit, they crack. And we do not want them to crack. And then we're going to time it exactly 6 minutes into the hot water. Then we will take them and plunge them in the ice bath. So ice bath is like almost like a slush with ice and water, simple. Okay. So let's start that. So I'm going to put my stove here first. Or my induction cooker, I would say stove. Yeah. You got a stove there, and then so I put my induction cooker here, and then I'm gonna get my pot of hot water. Now be careful. Now you transport. If you are transporting, it's a different story, but transporting hot liquid is super dangerous. Okay, so you have to plan your move and then do it. Okay.
Yeah, and Rahul, the stovetop is across the kitchen, so he has to bring that hot water over to where he is standing in front of the camera. Rahul, someone has asked if you will show how to lower the eggs carefully into the water.
Yeah, I do it right now. That's what I'm going to do. That. So now, because I'm using an induction top, So I'm going to go full power because you see the water will start boiling. If you guys can see,
Can you push it a little bit further back so we can see better?
Is this good?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So now you see I am on a full heat, and now it is going. So this is how we want it. You don't want a lukewarm. You don't want the water hot like a tea. You want it really going. Okay.
Yep.
Be careful of the handle. Put it away, and then
if you have tongs or a slotted spoon,
and you just go and bring it till the bottom and leave it right there. Then you grab the next one and bring it right to the bottom and leave it right there, and bring it right here. And now you remember our time pick up started already. So it's 5:32 on my screen here, and we're gonna go till 5.
I started a stopwatch for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So the eggs are
right. So that is the fun of doing this, is that like you cook it right, and meanwhile you have your ice bath ready. And ice bath, so we have so it's going to be 6:53 now, and another 5 minutes more, so 5:38. So now here in this container, if you can see, like I'll show you that I can 1 minute, I'll bring it over there.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to move. Yeah, he's got a big bin with a bunch of ice in it, and he's about to add some cold water to it.
So here is my ice bath ready. It's like maximum ice and very little water, right? Because when the eggs will be so much in there, they will take some, they will give some heat in there, and then the ice will become water automatically. Okay? So we are just waiting for this eggs to get ready.
Yep.
And
we can do the noodles while we wait.
Yep. So I'm going to move this away, and then I'm going to bring my next pot here, and we're going to again do the same thing. Is that we're going to bring the water to full heat, and then only we will put the noodles into it. Otherwise, they get gummy. You have to remember very, very well. Okay, so this goes on the side.
Right. How those of you that are cooking along, how are you doing? Are we going too quickly? Thumbs up from Jasmine.
I can wait. Yeah.
Let us know. Shalu, how are you doing?
I'm a little behind.
Okay. What step are you on?
I did the egg. I haven't done the seaweed yet. And I was wondering about, what did you say about the noodles, about becoming too soggy?
Yeah. So what you would do is, like when you are boiling the noodles, it was a dough at one point. It was a dough, before it become a noodle. So now what we have to do, we have to cook it. But when we put it in a very, very hot water, enough water, you should have enough water and very hot water. What happens? So you start cooking, and the outer shell start cooking, so it doesn't get gummy, because if you cook it at very low water, it's going to get gummy and like kind of dissolving inside, and your water is going to get very, very much, I would say, milky or cloudy, like that, right? Yep. So that also goes for cooking pasta, dried pasta, or anything, such that like when you submerge your noodles in the pot, it should not lose the heat. If it loses the heat, it start becoming into a gum paste. Okay. So now I'm going to wait until you let me go, and then I will start with the noodles.
Yep, we'll wait until the water is fully boiled there. It looks like it's going.
Yeah.
So while we wait a minute or two, I can talk about the Planetary Health Diet. So I'm curious how many of you, I know you're all on mute, but I'm curious, let me know in the chat if you can. Oops, what did I just do? If you've heard of the Planetary Health Diet before, or if not, but this was created by the Eat Lancet Commission, they're called. And I'm gonna read my notes here to get the right terminology and phrasing, but the Planetary Health Diet is an eating pattern meant to guide us toward making choices for our own optimal health and that of the planet. Okay, so never heard of it. Cool, okay, great. I'm so happy to be talking about this for the first time. Yeah, I've shared in the chat a link and a video for you to learn more if you're interested, but essentially this diet is guidelines to show you, it's not a diet in terms of like a restrictive diet. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's just a diet pattern. You have a question? Did I hear a question? No.
Did we take the eggs out yet?
No,
Not yet. It's only been 4.5 minutes.
Oh,
6. If you put it in right at the exact moment that we did, it's been 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So yeah, once we have a little bit more time, I'm going to show you, after the eggs and the noodles are done, I'm going to show you slides to give you some more information about this diet specifically. But it breaks down into different food groups, and it discusses like the amount of each food group that we should be eating per day or per week to have the best health benefit for us and the least impact on the planet. So as you can probably all imagine, it's not a whole lot of animal product and a lot of plant products. So I'll get into more details about that. How I want to check in on Rahul on that water. Do you think it's boiling enough, or do you still have?
so the egg should be ready now, right?
It's almost been 6 minutes, a little shy of 6 minutes.
Yep, got it. So now remove the noodle water out. And however, these are our eggs, right? And like it naturally happens that some of them may crack due to heat, and which is just fine, you know, because it will not affect what is going on inside unless like they break open and they dissolve into water, right? So these are our egg and they should be ready right now. This is the time. Yes, for my calculation.
We're good.
Now we have the ice bath right here. We have the ice bath, and we're gonna go from here into the ice bath directly, and then we again use our salted spoon or a tongue. And remember, everything is hot, and we just bring it in here.
So what we're making here is a soft boiled egg. So that means that when you cut into it, the yolk will not be fully cooked. The white will be, but the yolk will not. So if you want a fully cooked egg, you can go 8 minutes. That's usually about how long it takes. But a soft cooked egg is more like what you would see with ramen.
Right. So here, we submerge them in cold water, like ice on top, such that we are ceasing them from cooking any further, right? And then we rest them, and I'm not going to touch it until then. Now we're going to cook the noodles. So are you caught up so I can go with the noodles? Because if my
So we got to heat the water back up again. Okay, so I'm going to share, Rahul, just let me know when the water is ready to put the noodles in. And I'm going to share my screen so I can show you all some information about this diet. So hopefully you can see this okay. But this is the breakdown. This is a breakdown of all the different food groups. And it lists the amounts in grams per day. However, I want to mention that if you look, for example, at the protein sources, for beef, lamb, and pork, it says 14 grams per day. Of course, that's half an ounce. That's very small. But if you think of it more as, 14 grams times 7 days, meaning you would have, whatever that comes to be, you would have beef, lamb, and pork in one serving once a week. But with where you see the fish and legumes and nuts, these are greater amounts. You would eat more of those throughout the week. So the left column here is all the different food groups. The middle column is the amount to eat each day. And the right column is the calories, the estimated calories that you get from those amounts of these foods. And this is all based on a 2,500 calorie diet. So of course that does not fit for everyone, so that can be adjusted. And the point of this diet pattern is that it can be adjusted based on different cultures, eat different foods, and based on your, socioeconomic status, how much money you're able to spend each day or each week on your groceries. We all have different foods available to us. So this is meant to be adjusted. So also to note, with the ingredients or with the foods like whole grains and legumes, the weights here are the dried amount, so not cooked. So before I talk too much more about this, I want to show this photo. This, I think, is a very helpful understanding, helps you understand what one whole day looks like based on their recommendations. And like I said, 14 grams of beef, they did actually measure out 14 grams of beef. So if you wanted to break down all of your protein into each individual kind, you can, but of course not necessary. And you'll see here that there are a couple different kinds of grains. There's some dried beans. So these are not cooked. These will be a larger volume when they are cooked, and that will be, more filling than just these small amounts. But this is a great way to see how many non-starchy vegetables you should eat per day. How much fruit should you eat? How much dairy is recommended? Starchy vegetables like potatoes, it's not very much recommended. Legumes and nuts make up a fair amount. There's more flaked fish there than there is any of the animal product. So this is a good, helpful overview of the day at a glance of what this diet is like. And here's another overview, another way of looking at it. If we break down the plate into all the different groups, you'll see that it's recommended, just as with the Harvard Healthy Eating Plate that you likely have all seen, half of the plate is recommended to be non-starchy fruits and vegetables. And then the whole grains and starchy veggies make up just, a little less than a quarter. Then we've got the dairy and the animal proteins, and, you can see the breakdown here, but you'll also see where I put those asterisks, where you see those groups only have a minimum required intake. So everything else, you don't need that specific, for example, dairy. You don't need dairy in your diet. However, you do need unsaturated plant oils, and you do need non-starchy vegetables and fruits, but you don't need starchy vegetables. So that hopefully helps to explain that a little bit more as well. And I'm going to jump, I will also send you all these slides after this class, so you have them, but I'm going to jump back to this slide again. And if you look at the middle column, the orange number is the average amount that's recommended per day. And in the parentheses next to it is the range. So you'll see that the only ones that don't have 0 as the bottom of the range are vegetables, fruits, and unsaturated oils. So these are the only ones that are absolutely necessary, and everything else you can pick and choose whatever you'd like from that group. For example, the protein, of course you need protein, but you don't have to eat beef. You don't have to eat fish, but you should get protein from some of those. So this is not crazy. This is not anything like completely different than what we've heard before. I'm gonna put myself back here. Oops. We've all, heard things like this before. This is pretty, it reiterates the diets that we have heard recommended for years now, that plant-based items are, better for us and better for the planet. And this is not a surprise. So I'm going to provide you all with those slides. I've given you some links. I don't want to take up too much time because I know it looks like Rahul's water is boiling and I don't want to put us behind, but we will have some time for questions in the end.
Okay, one moment. I want to get off.
Okay, looks like we got a question. Did you mention the protein source amounts listed are raw or uncooked? I did not mention that. Thank you very much. That is true. So of course that changes. For example, chicken thigh, a 5-ounce chicken thigh, once it's cooked, becomes a 4-ounce chicken thigh because it loses a lot of moisture and fat. So that's a very good point. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
Okay, so now our water is ready and almost like we are very close to the chicken. The chicken should be done as well. And so we have to cook the noodle. So noodle was the one thing that we wanted to cook last for the reason that it does not get gummy or anything like that. So the closer to the service, the better it is. So I have this soba noodle here. They are whole wheat. They're made from whole wheat. and you're gonna cook them up so the water is boiling. You just drop them in here. It takes about 4 minutes, and you would just cook it like pasta, how you would do. Then taste it first, says that it is like done. It is not like raw kind of. It is not raw, and after that you're gonna strain it out and rinse it. Give it a rinse so it doesn't stick together. It's very important to rinse stuff. Okay? And this would take like about 2 to 3 minutes. And meanwhile,
Yeah, if you're using soba noodles specifically, then these ones will cook pretty quickly. If you're using a different kind of noodle, it may be
might be a
slightly
different
different than
cooking
what we're using. But yeah, these soba noodles are, they only take a few minutes to cook. And also I want to throw in here, for those of you that are planning to attend a future class, we do sell the ingredients already prepped from, if you just purchase them online through our catering website, and you can pick them up on campus, or we can bring them to you wherever you are on campus. So that's a really helpful thing that we offer. We already measure it for you. If it's ingredients that you don't know if you can find in the store, then we will have them for you. So it's an extra service that we offer. So if we're thinking about this bowl of ramen in terms of the Planetary Health Diet and the healthy eating plate, we've got lots of veggies. There's lots of different colors. There's this whole grain. The soba noodles are made from buckwheat and wheat flour. So they've got a ton of protein and fiber, more than the average noodle. We have also the egg, we have chicken, and if you don't like to add chicken, you don't need to, it's not necessary. Oop, my timer's going off for the chicken.
again, yeah.
But because the chicken is being cooked in a liquid, we're not in any huge rush to get it out before it's dry, because it's not going to be dry. That's the benefit of braising. But yeah, so what makes a well-balanced meal is representing all food groups with a variety of the macronutrients, so fat, carbs, and protein, having a variety of different colors that represent a wide variety of micronutrients, lots of vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients as well. So we've got green, orange, black, we've got some red in the chili flake. There's lots of different colors in here. And also, in addition, adding a variety of textures and flavors and food combinations makes your food more appealing. And it makes following this guideline, these planetary health guidelines, more flexible for the long term. That's why diet patterns, such as the Planetary Health Diet, are so much easier to follow than something like the keto diet, or something that's very restrictive and very, specific, where you cannot eat these things, you can only eat these things. There's so much more looseness and variety and eating patterns such as this one. And this is meant to be lifelong. So noodles.
So noodles are ready. I'm going to strain them. And I have made a setup there. I want to show you, because I will not be needing the stove anymore. I move it away. And so what I have done is, like, I have a strainer, and you may use any kind of strainer, but I have this strainer set up here, which is a reservoir at the bottom, the receptacle, and then I'm going to just strain here, and then I bring it to the tap, and I'm going to rinse it off. Okay, these are our noodles. Okay. And then, so this is like, they're not clumped together or anything like that. They're like all loose, and you can see them in the steam or not. And then I'm going to rinse it off, okay, right now. So the noodles are ready, and now is the time to assemble the dish. Okay.
Yeah, and all that needs to be done at this point is just pulling the chicken out, or taking the chicken out of the oven and pulling it. You can use 2 forks to shred the chicken. And also we need to just peel an egg to put on there too. And then we assemble it.
We're going to go with 1 egg first, okay?
Okay.
Right underneath.
You have any special tricks for peeling an egg easily?
I just crack it, because once it goes in the cold water, it's easy to peel it. and I usually try to get under the membrane and then just walk through it, So it just comes out like it has got a kind of a membrane underneath. Like you see what I'm saying? Like you're here. You see the membrane? Maybe the camera shows, yeah. And then we just keep peeling it. You go here, and you see it I'm just pushing it with my thumb outwards, And here you go. And then here, this is our perfectly done egg, and we're gonna get rid of all the shells, clean up a little bit here. And so there's one egg, and then I want to show you one other thing that goes with this. Is I'm gonna break another egg. I take another minute to explain that, and I'm gonna take another perfectly cooked egg. Again, go here, crack, give it a crack, then open it up, get my thumb under the membrane, and keep walking it through around. Here, see bigger chunks coming out. And we're gonna go here.
And because that's soft boiled, it looks like it's still like squishy. It's not
kind of jiggly, You feel it like it is kind of still jiggly. It is not hard.
Yep.
Okay. And now I'm gonna take a bowl, and I will take I'll get a better background on this. Okay. So I'll take the first egg that we peeled. This one looks much better. And then they are cooked at the same time. And when I'm gonna go here, and if you see this is center, and I'm gonna cut it here. This is what you see and you get in the ramen shops, like this.
perfect.
So it is a 6-minute egg, and then this how it's supposed to be coming out. So you just usually most of the ramen places would give you a whole egg, and as you are eating it, you break it at some point when you want that creaminess from the yolk come into it and all that. After you tasting all the delicate flavors of the broth and the things that the vegetables that you're going to eat. Okay, so this is where it should be, right? So this is what one thing I wanted to say. This is about that 6-minute egg. Now I'm going to do is we're going to start assembling, right? So before assembling, we need to process the chicken, right? So I'm going to go get my chicken from my oven, and we are there.
Okay. And I always like to throw in at the end of these classes, if I remember, that eating, we've all heard the phrase, you eat with our eyes. It is so true. So having, like I was just mentioning about being more satisfied and making your food more appealing, by adding all these different colors and by taking a little extra time to plate up your meal in a pretty way, even if you're just serving yourself, it still makes you feel more mentally satisfied when your dish looks beautiful and it's colorful and has lots of textures.
So now here is the pan that I have waited 25 minutes, 25 maybe 28 minutes now. And then we're going to very carefully open it, because again, if you're working with a Dutch oven with a lid or any other container, you have to remember that the steam is going to escape. Like you see, the steam is escaping from here, and you look at that. Then whoever is cooking along would smell it, that how nice it smells. Okay, so this is again the ginger garlic floating on top, and this is all our chicken done here. But one thing what we need to do is to make sure it is safe. So we want to tap it, okay? And it is necessary for the chicken to be cooked to 165 Fahrenheit. So now this one is 203. Oh, this way. It's like 203 or something like that. You can see.
And also be sure that you're putting the thermometer into the middle of the thickest piece.
Yeah, thickest piece. So now this chicken is ready. And we think like 3 ounces of chicken should be sufficient for a portion. And here we go. And we're gonna see here that we have a chicken, and then we take 2 fork right here, and then we're gonna put here and then just shred it. Okay, you are breaking it down like a shredded meat. Little bit big chunks are okay, because this meat has to spread out, and it should not be like hunks of meat, but it has to be like shredded meat, so it disperses very well, and then you can get it almost in each or every other bite. Okay, so these are our chicken meat processed here. Okay, now from here, what we're going to do, I put this aside here, and it's going to get a little messy because I want to plate it fast, right? While everything is hot. So I'm going to give it a small wipe here, and then after that, we're going to take our broth,
Yeah, so now it's time to strain the
strain the broth.
out from the chicken, and that's what we're going to use.
The strainer here. And of course, there is rest of the chicken and all that I'm leaving it in there. But at this point, the plate, I just make the broth, and this is how it comes out. Okay, so you can see the color of the broth that we started with the water, and it is right there. At this point, I recommend that you taste it, like how it is, so because you can easy to season it over here, and this is your pretty much beautiful broth right here. And it looks so clear and nice, so I can put in a bowl.
Yeah,
You can see
great.
this is your broth from scratch. Okay, you see, hold on.
Yeah, perfect.
So this is your broth from the scratch. Now we're gonna plate it. Now for the plating, what we have done is I'm taking a very wide bowl so that we can show everything to it. Could be in a narrower bowl or small. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the noodles in first, which we have measured amount of noodles, and then again it's up to you. There is no hard and fast rule. So we are not baking a cake. So there is no very specific recipe, right here. So you put our noodle, which I prefer if we could be warm, because you can throw in the broth and get it warm like that. Then we're gonna organize our vegetables on that. So just let's see, you will see the colors. We're gonna two sides. Then I'm gonna do the kale, a little bit here, a little bit of kale here, this side. And then I'm gonna leave the middle just like how it is, right? And then on that, we will do our chicken here, right? The protein in the middle. And then we will place our egg here, right next to that. And now we're gonna put the broth, and then we're gonna add the toppings. Okay, so the broth goes right here. So it broth cooks off the rest of the meal. And it has to be like a lot of broth in there. That is a big part of the whole soba, whole ramen. So it should look like this. You see the amount of water that's like the liquid is around. And although if the vegetable may look not completely submerged, but they are just fine, because when you are eating it, you're mixing it continuously. Okay. Now we talk about topping. So topping is a whole different thing, So if you are at this point, as we said, we did the scallions. So we're gonna put some scallions here vertically. So it colors up the whole thing. Here. Then we have our scallion one there. Then of course we're gonna put our seaweed. So seaweed has to be dry. So seaweed goes last. Okay. Seaweed goes here like a big.
And you can do whatever toppings you have, whatever toppings you like.
Few people like some chili flakes, as people like chili flakes on the pizza all the time, because it's like, so we can go put some chili flakes here. So make it colorful here. Then we have some toasted sesame seeds, just to keep it in the, because we're using sesame oil, and we put our sesame seed here. Then after that, we have even any kind of hot sauce. So sriracha maybe is one of that. So you can put like few dabs of sriracha here and there. So like it gives the heat, but mysteriously, you do not know where it is, and you are pretty much ready to go. So that's where we are.
Awesome. You hold it up to the camera.
And then I'm gonna hold it up. Let's see, it may be centered.
Awesome. How's everybody else doing?
I took some liberties with mine. I'll try to show it.
Yeah.
You like to see?
Can you see it?
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Is that
Lovely.
a soy egg?
Yes, I made a ramen egg.
Perfect.
Because they're really tasty. And I also added bacon. It's not planetary healthy, but
You added what, bacon?
bacon, yeah. And I
It's okay.
used bok choy instead of kale because I had some left over.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
The
So
one pot meal.
Gorgeous.
And it is great that so the same eggs that we have cooked today, if you soak them overnight in soy sauce, they will be the soy eggs.
Yeah.
Look what we made.
Let's see.
Oh, little bit.
it's blurry.
Oh, it's blurry.
All right, we'll take it off. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, you can kind of see.
We're gonna take it off the virtual background. So
Blur the background, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Rahul, we had a question about the brand of meat thermometer. What kind of meat thermometers do we use?
Well, we get the Taylor, and Taylor is one of the known company.
Yay,
And
that's
then we have
beautiful.
Coopers. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
that look great.
Great
Mhm.
job, guys. That looks so
Nice.
great.
Thank you.
Cool. Sorry, we use what brand, Rahul?
So we use right now. I have the Cooper. Then we get a one from the Taylor. But the most important thing at the back, they should have a seal. It is called NSF. So it is a National Safety Foundation. From that, it's like certified. That it is a real deal and trustable.
Catherine gives a thumbs up.
So,
Shogo, how's yours coming along? And Shalu, are we going too quickly?
Yeah, I'm still, praising the soups, but looks okay, I think.
Okay,
okay.
great.
Adding the chicken still.
Yeah.
Chicken, okay, yeah, yep. Well, great. I mean, yeah, it's so fun to see that everyone's looks different and we all use slightly different ingredients, and yeah, it's so fun to just make it your own. Whatever recipe you have, I know sometimes if you're not entirely comfortable cooking, then you don't really want to not follow a recipe, but that's what it's all about. You just experiment and learn from your mistakes maybe, or learn from your successes. And you end up feeling more, building your confidence, the fact that you created a delicious thing. Yeah, that's a perfect view of the bowl of ramen that Rahul just did. Propped it up on top of something. So I know we're over 6 o'clock. Thank you all for hanging around. Any other questions about anything, or ideas for future classes, or anything else anyone would like to share? We really appreciate you all being here.
I really had a great time and I would love to do it again.
Great.
Kids enjoyed it and we can't wait to eat it. I never heard about that diet before, so any information you can share about it, we would love to hear more about it.
Yes, I definitely will. I will. And so after, by the end of this week, by Friday, you all will receive the recording of this video if you'd like to watch it again for reference or share it with anybody. And I'll also send those slides. Again, I'll send the links that I shared, and also a survey to get anybody else's feedback, an anonymous survey. So, okay, we've got some suggestions. More savory dishes, can do. Any suggestions on alternative broths if we're not braising chicken?
Well, if you're not braising chicken, a very quick fix could be, and which is nothing wrong with that. Like if you can get a low sodium broth from supermarket, that could be utilized. Or if you are doing shrimps or any fish, if you want to do with the seafood, you can do that. However, most of the people do it with the pork, but the right way to do it with the pork is with the pork bones, and it may take a little bit longer cooking because the flavor from the roasted bones have to come out and all that. So, however, the easiest one would be a miso. So you can do a miso with some konbu and nori and make a real nice broth with it, like tastes real good with a great umami, and you feel like a contender when you eat it or drink it when you taste it. And that could be the base of the ramen. But of course, that is the life of the ramen is the broth. And the second thing is the noodle into it. But noodle, remember, is a very small quantity. The other is the rest of the vegetable. The crunch, the color, the flavor. When you bite into it, like if you bite into scallion, is completely different. Then you bite into a carrot, which is like sweeter and a little bit different texture by itself. Then into any of the greens that might be there, spinach, very neutral. And then you put kale, little bit different. Bok choy, little crunchy. So all this cabbage could be added to that. And any kind of another Asian vegetables that can go into it. And then also, people also like to top it up with some nuts. Again, it's a part of the healthy diet. People put it with toasted peanuts, different kind of sauces, more soy sauce, less soy sauce, sweet chili sauce, and it's all up to our palate what we may want to put in there. So the sky is the limit with all of the combination that can go in that.
Yeah, exactly. And we also
Thank
have
you.
a request for fish or chicken dishes, one pot meals. So yes, we will
Okay.
definitely feature all of those things. And also when I send you the link for our YouTube video, if you go to our channel, you can look at past recordings, and we have some one pot meals, we have some fish dishes, so you can get other ideas from there as well. So we don't want to keep you too long if you want to go and eat your meals while they're hot, or go finish the rest of your evening. But we appreciate you all so much for being here. We really, really do. And we hope that you'll help spread the word. We hope that you'll give us any, honest feedback when we send you the survey. Oh, Shogo, yay, yay, yay. That's beautiful.
Nice.
Yep,
Lovely.
and you've got the chopsticks too. That's perfect. That looks awesome. So thank you all so much. If you have any questions and want to stay on for a bit, then feel free. But everybody else, thank you. Oh my God, the family at the table. Look at that.
Perfect.
That's
Nice.
so sweet. Thank you all so much. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night. See you next time.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Enjoy. Bye.